everybody. Welcome to the Hello Road podcast. My name is Ethan.
My name is Paul.
And today we're going to try to catch everybody up on all of the projects that we've been doing lately. It's been a while since you've heard from us, and we've been working on our project cars. I know you have a lot of stuff that you've been doing. So why don't you kick it off?
Oh man, where do we want to start? Do we want to start with the Charade, the Volkswagen, or the Fit?
Wait, you've done something with the Volkswagen?
Yes and no.
Oh, geez. Okay.
All right.
So this is the Volkswagen that's been sitting in your parents' garage.
Yes.
For 70 years, something like that.
Yes. So yeah, it's been in the family since it was brand new. We talked about it multiple times on the show, but this is its 50th birthday. It's a 1970 Volkswagen Beetle Type 1. And the big thing I have to share with it is it's not mine anymore.
What?
It's not mine.
Wait a second. Did you sell it?
I didn't sell it. I had a talk with my dad, and I said, I'm kind of and this is, funny in comparison to all of your vehicles. I said, I'm kind of in a little over my head with all of these different project cars. I have goals for each and every one of them.
Sure. And
it's difficult with everything going on in my life, my daily, life with, work and family and everything. So I told him, I said, what if I just relinquish the ownership I have of the vehicle back to you, and you can take care of it. You can do with it as you wish. And so he thought about it for a few days, and then he got back to me in the funniest way possible, which was he emailed me a list of parts that he wants to get. So my dad's, he just turned 70 years old, and he's retired. He's at home, and we're in the middle of a pandemic. So I kind of also did this purposely because I knew it would give him something to do. Yeah, he's done some restoration work before on cars, but I think it's good for him. So I've relinquished control of the vehicle back to him, and I think what'll happen is he's going to go through the car at his own pace, which, he does want to get things. Once he starts a project, he tends to want to get things done. Not like me; it was just stalled in the garage. So it's back on him.
Okay.
So it's staying in the family. It's just no longer under my ownership, which makes me sad and happy at the same time because it was my first car. It was kind of my first automotive love, and it's it's going to be taken care of the way it should be taken care of because, I'm going to probably not buy the best things to go on the car, and it deserves that. And it's something that my dad and my parents, they could, if they wanted to go that route with a car, they could totally do it. And they're going to do it. So yeah, that's the big bug update. The Volkswagen update is it's no longer in my control. So, yeah.
That's pretty big news. And I can relate to that because you have, I think with project cars, a lot of times you have these intentions, you have, we got this old car that's sitting there, and you envision in your mind's eye how it will look when it's all complete. And, there's just a lot of stuff going on. You've got kids, you got a job. So yeah, the reality of the situation is a lot of project cars just end up sitting because you have these intentions that you just, a lot of times people can't meet. So I totally get it. I have that. I've got, as I've got several project cars. The one that I'm sort of thinking that is very similar to me is my 91 Geo Prism GSI, which it's been sitting for a long time. And just this last week, I decided, you know what? I'm never going to get around to fixing this. I mean, I already kind of knew I wasn't, but I really figured, I gotta throw a new battery in this car, put a couple new tires on it, and sell it. And that's what said it. So today I went and got a new battery, got a couple new tires for it. with the intention of, okay, this week I'm going to take some pictures or write a little description. I might try Doug DeMuro's new website, carsandbids.com.
Yes. Yeah.
I might give that a shot. I don't know how it will work with a kind of beat up old Geo, but it's worth trying out.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I had this realization. Yep, never going to have time to fix this car, and I don't really have the desire to fix this particular car. And then I just drove it around the block a little bit after I threw the new battery in it, and then I started to think, am I going to change my tune? I kind of like this car.
Yeah. It's so funny that you're talking about this, because we're just going to keep going with the bombshells here.
Yeah,
I kind of
okay.
had the same thing going with the Daihatsu. Like,
Yeah. Interesting.
I'm in that same boat where it's like,
Sure.
I've owned the Daihatsu now for over 5 years, and I had envisioned all this wonderfulness with the car, and it's not necessarily the desire is there with the
Sure.
Daihatsu, whereas with the Volkswagen, it really kind of petered away, and the desire is there with the Daihatsu. It's just that it's so goddamn difficult for anything with that car. Everything with that car is a fight. Like, there's certain parts that I can't easily get. I can get them, but I'm gonna have to spend a lot of money to get, like the front control arms, the ones that are sold through AutoZone. I think I talked about this on the show before, but they're incorrect for the car. They're not right. So those I have to source from like Australia through eBay, and it's like, okay. And then when it comes down to like the modifications of it and stuff, the stuff that the picture in my mind I have of the car when it's done, it's like, I don't know if I can achieve that. And then the other side of it comes in where it's like, well, I've had the car 5 years. I've always wanted to own one, and I've kind of made a whole persona around me about the charade. And
you're the Daihatsu guy.
I'm the Daihatsu guy, and I love it, but I don't know. Part of me is thinking maybe it's time to move on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't tell me that, because I might end up wanting to buy your car.
Oh, well.
No, I can't do that.
But it's kind of a weird thing that I've been going through. But I did have a project car update with the charade. I just did today, probably less than maybe an hour ago, and it's probably something that's so overdue, and I don't know why I overlooked it and why I put too much thought into this, but one of the biggest issues with the car, if you've seen it or you've sat in it, especially in the summertime, is it has these like reupholstered front seats that are made of like this black vinyl, leathery material that will burn through like 8 layers of clothing in the summertime. It's just it's scorching. I bought a set of $20 seat covers from Walmart.com, but the reason I did is because they offered a wonderful Mexican blanket pattern.
Oh, we had those in our Gambler car. Oh, those are great. I think I have this exact same ones.
It's so great. Yeah. So I put them in, and I was just like, all right. So it's supposed to be a really hot day here in Southern California tomorrow, and the charade normally does not like to drive in the heat, but I think in the name of science, I'm going to have to try these out and see how scorching the seats are after sitting all day. The car sitting in the parking lot at work all day and driving home. And so I was pretty excited about that, though. I was like, and they were only $20. It was a Daihatsu budget modification to the car.
Sure.
So,
and it's also one of those things where it was cheap, simple, but it'll have a really positive impact on the car.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, it matches the totally awesome rad back seat of the Daihatsu, which is like that specked like teal and pink and grays that just looks so 90s. It matches somewhat better to the black vinyl front seats, which honestly I just need to go get them reupholstered in some cloth or something. But for the time being, this will do. So that was a fun little update that I did to the charade today. So it was nice to do something fun like that to the Daihatsu without spending a lot of money or doing a ton of research on something and then getting failing miserably, like I did with my wheels and tires. I did
Yeah.
for it. So,
Yeah. I mean, I totally get those. Like, I'm a big fan of those little projects that don't take a lot of effort, don't take a lot of time, but actually are really important.
yes.
Recently on the 944 Turbo, it's just a stupid thing where the door panel kept coming loose. So when you go
Mm.
to shut the door, the handle just pops off. So just like actually finally screwing that down and really getting that secure was just such a simple thing, but it
Oh,
makes
so satisfying.
yeah, very satisfying because every time I drive the car, I'm like, oh great, I can actually shut the door.
Yeah. It's kind of
um,
an important thing.
yeah, and then I came up with this little cover for the where the windshield wiper was in the rear of the rear hatch of the 944.
Mhm.
So it used to have a windshield wiper at some point, and the previous owner must have removed it, and it just had a hole in the glass. So every time it would rain,
Oh,
I
that's
for a
good.
long time for a long time I just put a piece of gaffer's tape over it,
Mhm.
and I was like, okay, I finally got to do something about this. And I had saw a few people had sold these little kits where you replace it's like a little plug kit
Mhm.
for the 944, and they were like $40 for this
Ooh.
little piece of rubber and
Now.
yes, $40 for this. It had a little Porsche logo on it, so
Oh, that's
there you
why.
go. But it's like, okay, I'm not paying $40 for a washer and a logo. So
Mhm.
I found somebody online that had made this cool DIY kit with using like a furniture pad that you would put on the bottom of like a chair,
Mhm.
and then just nice washer, and it looks really good. And that was like probably $5 as opposed to 40.
Fo
So
But it doesn't have a Porsche logo on it.
no, it doesn't have a Porsche logo on it, but it looks pretty good, I
That
think.
that that works, that
Yeah,
works.
and it's one
Yeah,
of those things where like I don't know. I'm kind of a cheapskate. I like things that are
yeah,
decent value, and I don't want to spend a bunch of money on something just because it's a stupid Porsche logo on it.
right.
So
Yeah, there was a similar mod that got done to the Mini Coopers back in my Mini Cooper days when people would take the rear wiper off because,
yep,
saving weight, aerodynamics,
yes,
whatever. So
yeah,
guilty. I did it too. And
yeah,
it was something like there was some little, I forgot what it was called, but they only sold them at the Lowe's Hardware. You couldn't get this thing at Home Depot. So
okay,
you'd get that, and then you'd get some of that clear RTV silicone sealant, and you'd like put it around this little plug, and you just basically plug up the hole that you took out your windshield wiper and all that other stuff, and you were good to go. And I think I actually sold my Mini or traded my Mini in when I traded it in for my Mazda with that little thing in place. And they probably
yep,
never realized, but yeah, good enough to look
yeah,
OE.
totally,
It never leaked either. It was always, it was always a scary thing. Like washing my car, it was like, oh, did it leak?
yeah.
No, yeah, it's still held up. Oh, okay, cool. So it worked. But
Oh,
yeah, did not have a Mini logo on it though. I'm sure there was one that was made years later.
yeah, that would have been $40.
It was $40. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Moss Mini dot, whatever. One of those silly accessories that would be sold on something like that. So well,
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, I actually saw that video that you did with the
yep,
944 with all the little fixes, and I was like, see, that's the stuff I love too. Those little tiny fixes that just make a world of difference, like pulling the door shut or covering up the hole that's conveniently located in the back of your
yeah,
hatch and lets water in. It's those things when I got the Charade, I was like so excited to do things like that. I was like, this is going to be like an episode of Wheeler Dealers. It's going to be so cool, but there was really nothing wrong with it. That was like the
sure.
little things like that. I did mechanical stuff, but I was looking forward to like, oh, I'm going to rescrew this thing in. But no, everything was fine. Nothing was broken, so I couldn't fix anything. So I was disappointed.
Should have got a more terrible car.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I should have.
It's
That would
just
have.
kind of a reliable little machine.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
that's true. So, but yeah, so seat covers in the Mini. Oh my gosh.
Oh, geez. Whoa.
Whoa. Seat covers in the Daihatsu.
You've been drinking. Have you been drinking?
I am two Topo Chico? Topo
Mhm.
Chicos. Is that how you say it? The mineral water? Yeah,
Yep.
I'm too deep. Topo Chicos.
Wow.
So good. It's a refreshing summer beverage, Topo Chico. So
Nice.
yes.
Not sponsored. However, we'll take it if they do want to sponsor this episode.
Yeah, I'll take cases of this. That's fine.
Yes,
I'll fill up my garage with a pallet.
Sure.
That sounds good to me. So,
yeah.
What else? What's going on with the Ford Probe? I want to know what's going on with the Probe.
Oh, geez. So there's a few cars in the Hello Road lot right now. The collection. I actually just took a picture. I posted on my Instagram today, and I was like, oh, this kind of, I can't really tell if it looks like a junkyard or a car collection. So it was, there's a few hoods up. I was working on a few things today. So the Probe actually is doing pretty well.
Okay.
New timing belt. It's got, new tensioners. It's got new belts. It's got a new water pump. It's got a new thermostat. The water pump belt is still not quite tight enough because it's, I can hear the power steering squeak a little bit. That belt is a little bit loose, but
okay.
It's doing pretty well. It still smokes a little bit. I think these cars are known for leaking a little bit of oil out of the back of the valve cover and leaking right onto the exhaust. So every time you drive it, it just kind of like seems like it's on fire, which is, that's kind of fun.
Yeah. Fun little quirk.
Yeah, it's a little quirk. The windows still don't roll down. I haven't quite got to that yet. But the main thing was get it running and driving so that way I could feel good about, buying this $300 car and essentially saving it from getting crushed and junked. The car actually runs and drives now. Somebody could, even though it's not perfect, somebody could buy this car and drive it around and it would be perfectly reliable, I think.
Cool.
So it's kind of fun to drive. It's not, it's funny because I have the 944 turbo in the Hello Road Squad, and that car is super fast. So the Probe feels pretty sluggish compared to that. But compared to most of my other cars, the Probe is actually pretty quick. So
I mean, it was supposed to be marketed as like a sporty coupe.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, at one point it was supposed to be like the replacement for the Mustang, right? Isn't that what Ford? The story goes, the Probe was supposed to replace the Mustang and 19 whatever year they came out, 87.
I believe
86.
it was supposed to be the 1989 Mustang.
Right.
There was a picture of, I think it was on the cover of Car and Driver where they actually said 1989 Mustang. So, obviously I think there was, there's a lot of people that wouldn't have approved of a front wheel drive Japanese car being the new Mustang. So
yeah,
but and I think that's when they came out. That's when they really worked on the what was the after the Fox body, the SN
95, SN 95.
Yeah. So that kind of was alongside of the Probe for a while.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be the new Mustang, but probably good that they didn't do that.
Yeah, probably good. It would have been like the mid-engine C8, but back in like 89, it would have been like that same. You're going to do what to the Mustang?
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you look at kind of the history, obviously the Mustang sold really well up until a certain point. Like the sales kind of petered off a little bit in the late 70s. And then I think that's when a lot of things were moving towards front wheel drive. They were moving towards turbocharged engines. They were moving towards, smaller, more efficient vehicles. And, I think, they were really trying to find like the more modern approach to this and, to the Mustang. And obviously people didn't want that. So, yeah. But the Probe is doing okay. The plan for that car is, get it running, get it driving. Hopefully if I can get the check engine light to go off, I'm going to see if I can get the thing smogged. I don't have high hopes for that. But just kind of clean it up. I would be really nice to like fix the dents and get a new paint job and that sort of thing. But I think at this point, I just want to really clean it up and make it a decent running driver. I know, because there's been like 15 people that want to buy this car, because it's the boysenberry, I forget what they call it, boysenberry metallic color, which is a purple color, which I think it was somewhat rare for the Probe to come in purple. So yeah, there's actually a bunch of people lining up to buy my piece of shit Probe.
All right.
Well,
the good news is you won't have any problem moving it. So it sounds like that's there.
Yeah, and I don't want to. It's not like I'm going to I don't want to make a profit or anything. I just want to sell it for what I have into it, just to move it on, to basically to save it from the crusher and to give it to somebody that actually would, really, really want that car.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like you said, that boysenberry mist or whatever it's called is
Yep.
a rare color, and it's such an awesome color too. You just, I've ranted about car colors, I think
Sure.
almost every single episode, but
Yes.
I love the fact that it's purple, and the fact that somebody would get it just because it's purple. It's like that's awesome.
Yeah. The one thing,
props to them.
yeah, the one thing I'm really trying to figure out with all of my crappy cars that I've got in my collection is that, the Geo, it runs fine. It's got a decent amount of power. There's not really much wrong with it. The Probe, now we got it fixed up. It runs pretty good. But both of those cars are the exterior appearance of those vehicles is not the best. So,
Right.
when you look into paint jobs, they're really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that I would love to get some of these cars painted, but I don't really have, I can't really think of a good way to do it without spending a shit ton of money for a car that probably isn't really worth it. Like I could spend $2,500 or something getting the Geo painted. It would look amazing.
Right.
But I probably wouldn't be able to sell the car for $2,500.
No, you wouldn't break even on it.
No.
I'm getting a very bad idea right now, which is personal garage paint booth.
I would love to do that, but the prep, I don't have time to do the prep. I think that's my main problem.
See, that's the thing is the prep to me would, if I was in that situation, like, well, I guess I kind of am with the Daihatsu because I'd love to paint it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be, it would be time consuming, but take your time with it. If it's a couple weeks
here and there. Yeah.
A little bit here and there. And then when the day comes to shoot it, that's where things would get a little scary. If you do there's tons of people that do garage paint jobs. They'll set up a booth inside their garage. I mean, there's an initial investment to it, but I mean, if you've got all those cars, Ethan, I mean, you think about it.
They all need paint.
They all need paint. You just got to buy the equipment once. And I know Harbor Freight sells all the little paint guns and everything that you would need. And, it doesn't need to be perfect, but I'm sure it'll be a hell of a lot better than, what's on it. So,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like, for some of these cars, it wouldn't be a bad idea just to like, okay, I'm going to experiment with this vehicle.
Yeah.
Because all like the Stanza wagon, that really needs paint. The Geo Prism, that needs paint. The Probe needs paint. Even my Scion that I've had for 15 years, that one's seen better days. That needs paint too. These are all things that if I could just paint those cars, they would look. I mean, that would just night and day be change the the whole image for those vehicles. So
totally. Yeah, but I mean, you're in that situation where you spend $2,500 on the equipment that you would need to do it, and I think you could knock all of them out for $2,500 just by yourself in the driveway. The neighbors would love it.
Sure,
you've got the air compressor already, and just make like a little suit, and so you can breathe the chemical, the hazmat suit, and I had a friend who made in his garage like a little paint booth when he wanted to paint the hood for his Miata, and it was pretty extensive, all the stuff he went through just to paint the hood. And I was like, this would be beneficial if you had like a lot of cars you wanted to paint or something.
Sure.
But just for a single hood, like, because when I painted the hood on the Charade, I was like, nope, I'm just going to set it up outside and hope for the best. And we all know how the hood came out. So back to the hood again. But no, I think that would be a great idea. Not that I'm putting ideas in your head, but I think you should totally
build a home paint booth in my garage.
In the garage, or maybe right outside of the garage right there. I think it would be good. The neighbors would love it too, especially if it's like all blue tarp and everything.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
Okay.
I'll think about it.
All right.
Actually, I could do it in my trailer. Just pull the car into the trailer.
There you go.
Yeah.
The first time I painted the hood on the Charade, I painted it in the shed that we had just bought for our backyard because there was nothing in it. And I was like, I'm going to shoot the hood in the shed, and everything theoretically was a great idea until I didn't really have a good mask, and yeah,
Yeah,
it was not a good idea. I
drunk
don't.
on paint fumes,
Yeah, I don't recommend it.
lost a
So
few brain cells.
yeah, that was I don't have many to spare, so
Yeah, well, oh,
that
yeah.
was a it was a rough one. It was a rough one. So cool. Well, so when you do that, let me know. And provided the charade's still around,
Sure.
I'll come up with the right shade. I think if I was ever to paint it, I would paint it either like the teal that the cars came in, which is
Oh
awesome,
yeah. Yep.
or there's a color from the first generation Toyota Prius, which, as we all know, is
One of your favorites.
one of my
Yep.
favorites, called Blue Moon Metallic or something like that. It's that lavendery purple color. Oh, it's so awesome. I think the charade would look absolutely
Oh yeah, that's a
perfect.
good color. Blue Moon Metallic. There you go. Blue Moon Pearl.
Blue Moon Pearl. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, that would be like maybe your fourth or fifth paint job, because it's that pearl, and pearls are a really hard paint to lay
Sure.
down. There's like so many steps to it. So, but yeah, totally, that would be the color. Just shoot it in the driveway. It would look awesome.
Yeah, I got to do something about the paint. I just look at some of these cars that, like the Geo, as it is, probably worth $1,000, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like I might be able to break even with that car if I painted it. Not sure. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, how much is a paint job at like an Earl Scheib? Are Earl Scheib still around? I mean,
Yeah, I think obviously what they always say is the prep is the biggest part. So I mean, if I was going to go that direction, maybe I would do the prep myself. Just remove all the headlights, remove all the trim,
mhm.
that kind of thing. Because they do have different levels. They got like a single stage. They've got a few different choices you could go with.
Mhm.
I'm curious if that wouldn't be a bad option if I actually did the prep myself.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I had not mine. I'm sorry, but I had my old Volkswagen, my dad's Volkswagen, painted by Earl Scheib,
Ah.
in I think probably like the year 2000, and I vaguely remember spending $500. And you spend $500 on a paint job, you get a $500 paint job. But you know what? From 10 feet away, it looks good, and it didn't have two black fenders on it, so that was the important thing.
Yes.
Because the car was all one color. So
Yep. That's all that matters.
it's all that matters. So yeah, I wonder. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. Maybe I'll just have Earl Scheib paint the charade.
Maybe if I get like do 4 paint jobs, get the 5th one for free or something. Maybe
There you go, package deal.
route.
Yeah,
Yep.
that might be that. Yeah, that might be interesting. Yeah, but let me know, and maybe we can throw the charade in there too.
Sure.
It's small, just easy to throw in the booth.
Half a car.
It's half a car. Really,
Yeah.
it is. Really, it is. So I'll just tell them, don't take out the windshield, don't take out the back window, because those seals are irreplaceable. Have fun, and then hope they don't mess it up. So,
Yeah.
well, fun stuff. Fun stuff. You know what I didn't tell you, or maybe I think I told you, but I didn't talk about it yet.
Sure. What's up?
I took the Fit to a track day.
Yes. You told me that you were going to do that. I wasn't sure how that ended up. I think I just gave you some advice to keep the shiny side up, but other than that, I don't know how it went.
Well, it was the
and where did you go?
car there. I did Streets of Willow.
Streets of Willow. Okay.
Yeah. So for those unfamiliar, it's a racetrack in Southern California. Well, I guess still Southern California.
It's in Rosamond.
Rosamond. Yeah. It's right next to Big Willows, or the main Willow Springs Raceway. It's a little road course. It's a good little racetrack. That's pretty much every track day I've ever done. Not pretty much. I mean, every track day I've ever done has been at Streets of Willow.
It's a fun track.
It's a fun track. So I kind of just, I had some of the health issues earlier this year, and I just kind of decided to like throw caution to the wind and invest some money.
Throw your kidneys to the wind.
Throw my kidneys to the wind, and I was like, I'm going to go do a track day, because it had been such a long time. And so I did the research, and then dropped the hammer on a lot of parts for the Fit and got it all ready to go. And went, when was it? That was the 29th, I think, of June. So it was late last month. Was it the 29th? Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago now, two or 3 weeks ago. So it was interesting doing a track day with in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
The organization I went with was Extreme Speed Track Events, which
Extreme speed.
extreme speed. My first event with them, and it was good. They kind of have a bit of a bad rap on the internet, the internets, but I found no issues with them. People were saying, "Oh, there's too many cars in the run group," but there was also like, they need to make money, so they're going to sign up 90 cars for the track day, and that's the way it is. But the cool thing was it was so hot there. It was like probably 104, and that's when I learned that all of those Civic Type R's, which I do admire the Civic Type R, but they all leave halfway through the day, if not sooner, because they're all overheating and they can't take the heat. So there you go. That was probably like maybe a quarter of the cars that were there. I kid you not, there was that many Civic Type R's, and they all left. They all left probably by like 11 or 12. There might have been one of them left. They were like, nope, too hot. Car's not happy. And whereas the little Fit just soldiered on and did a bunch of sessions. So I probably put like maybe almost 100 miles on my car on the track.
Oh, wow.
Day. Yeah, it was quite a bit of seat time. So that was fun.
How'd your brakes and tires hold up?
They held up very well. I was very surprised because the last time I was on track, I had a fairly fresh set of the Falcon Azenis RT615s, like the original 615 compound that came out. This is 12 years ago. And the tires did okay on the Falcons, but this time around with the Fit, I got the Dunlop Star Spec Z3s and unfaltered all throughout the day. They didn't care how hot it was. They stuck to the ground and did their thing. I was so impressed by those tires. They did great. The brakes did very well on the Fit. Up until the event, actually, I didn't know that basically all of the generations of Fit have the same exact front brake. So a lot of websites only list front brake pads for like the first generation Fit sold in the United States. And I'm like, shit, I can't use those. It's not the same car. But I met another Fit owner at the track who's like, oh, no, it's the same thing. You just throw them on. I'm like, oh, well, great. So now I've got these awesome StopTech sport pads, but they actually held up very well. At Streets of Willow, there's only like probably like 2, maybe 3 sections where like you're going to be on the brake, but it's not like you're going to kind of dust them, just to kick some of the speed down on it. But they did really well. I did the brakes, the StopTech Sport pads, new rotors, and then I ran the Motul RBF 600 in the car, and perfectly fine. If I had one complaint, well, actually, I have 2.
2 complaints.
2 complaints. One, Streets of Willow and the Honda Fit's transmission do not like each other.
Not geared properly.
The gearing is just a kind of a bit of a pain. I think it might be.
Are you like sort of between second and third in a lot of areas?
Oh, it was all second and third, and then a little bit of fourth.
Like on the back straightaway. Like
the back straightaway, I'd get it into fourth if I was feeling brave to go past the 80 mile an hour mark going over that first little part of the chicane.
Yep.
But part of me, Paul from 12 years ago would have said, fuck it, we're going all the way. But
I drive flat out.
Yeah, but Paul now says, no, that I have to drive this car to work on them. And then, so I would let off right there. So it didn't do well for my lap times, but whatever, I still had fun. But no, it would, there's quite a few parts of the track where like, it would be like, the Fit's happy in second. Nope, I'm happy in third. Nope, second. Nope, third. So a little bit of jogging back and forth with that.
Just sort of in between gears in a lot of places.
Yeah, and just trying to find the right rhythm with it, and it was kind of difficult to do, but the way that, at least for me, I know some people some Fit owners at least will kind of complain about the way the pedals are set up in the Fit, but I had no issues with it. I was able to heel toe downshift and everything perfectly fine in it, the way it was my little Puma driving shoes I have. So So that was fine. The only other thing was, and I knew this was going to be an issue, was the seat. And I think
Ah,
for a stock seat, I think it held me in better than the Mini Cooper seat I had in the Mini, which was like the sport seat that I got on my Mini. So kudos to Honda for making a somewhat supportive seat for the racetrack, but it would be going through the bowl at streets, coming out of it. I would need to shift to third. And that's
uh,
when it was just kind of a stretch, because it would be like I'd have to use my non-existent abdominal muscles to, like, I'm holding myself and I'm like, I got to shift the car, and it was it was an interesting thing, but the seat held me in pretty good, and so the seatbelt did an okay job too. It would be nice to have like a harness and everything, but there's really not a easy solution to that without like going full ham on the.
sure. Then you don't have a back seat, and
Yeah, and I put my kids in the car. I don't want to put a
yeah,
harness bar back there, so it's just like, yeah, this is fine. I'll just deal with it. So,
sure.
um, but yeah, no, it was a great day. Tons of fun. I did not get sunburned, and as far as I know, I did not catch any sort of virus or anything. Um,
Well, yeah. I mean, the good thing about a track day is that you're really not near anybody, right? I
yeah,
mean,
they did a pretty good job of making sure everybody's like pit little area was like distanced from everybody, and when we were in line getting like the timers and all the other things, like they did a really good job of making sure everybody was apart. And
sure.
I was there by myself. I had nobody with me. My dad was supposed to go with me, but he, at the last minute, I kind of just said, as much as fun as it is to have you at these events, you know keep your butt at home.
Sure.
So I
Yeah.
just didn't want to risk it taking him out there. So
Sure.
but yeah, no, it was a great ton of fun. I can't wait to go back. Gonna probably do Button Willow is going to be next, because my main goal is to go to Button Willow. That it just seems like a ton of fun in the fit, and I think it would probably be better suited to the gears. It's not as tight. It's just more, scary and fast. Which
Yeah.
in the
Depends on
fit,
the
in the fit,
configuration. Yeah.
yeah, it's the fit. It's going to be like going like probably like 90 miles an hour. It's not going to be that fast, but um,
Well,
yeah,
there's some turns like, yeah, Willow's Streets of Willow definitely, there's never really much of that track where you're like, oh crap, I'm gonna die.
yeah.
Maybe through the chicane if you're going like super crazy fast, maybe.
Mhm.
But yeah, Button Willow has a few areas where you're like, okay, I'm gonna perish in this corner. But
Yeah,
The good thing about Button Willow is generally the runoff is really good. You're just going to get really dirty.
yeah,
Um, there's a couple areas where you could roll it if you're not careful, but in general, that's the nice thing about Southern California racetracks is that you don't have like slippery grass. There's no walls.
yeah.
If you're going off, you're just getting dirty.
That's the thing. The trade off. You can have this wonderful picturesque racetrack in, like, you think like Road Atlanta or Road
Sure.
America. That's all well and good, but you go off the track, you're going to hit the wall. Here in Southern California, they're all in the desert, and there's
Yes.
nothing to see.
Yes, definitely. Oh God, I know Button Willow. That's like the least scenic place I've ever been, I think.
Yeah, it's like
And there's nothing good about Button Willow other than the racing.
yeah,
The location sucks. There's nothing around there. It smells like cow farts. It's just the
yeah,
worst. Like the facilities suck. The bathrooms suck. Everything about it. It's like it's always like brutally hot.
yeah.
But the racetrack is amazing. I love that racetrack.
Yeah. Um, I hope to come away with that one with a positive experience. So that's
Yes.
going to be, I think I'm going to be going in September. So it'll still be balls hot out no matter what.
Yeah, it'll still suck.
But yeah, I'm anxious to get the fit back out there. And one of the interesting things that I saw there was a couple guys out there that had fits, so that was kind of fun. So
Okay.
I made a couple friends. But the one guy, he was his fit was he had coilovers on it, and he had a couple other things, but he had the most interesting wheel and tire setup I'd ever seen.
Hmm.
He was running the Yokohama AO 52s. Is that right? I don't know. Whatever. That the new Yokohama, the newer Yokohama AO52s. It's a great tire.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I was considering getting those before I decided on the Dunlops because it was a little bit cheaper and it was like the same basic performance. But he was running them on stock steel Honda Fit wheels.
Huh. So what size? What's the stock size?
So 15x6 is the stock wheel, and the Koenig wheels I got are 15x7, and so he's running a whole inch less in terms of the width of the wheel, and it's a steel wheel, so theoretically it's probably heavier. But I guess
more unsprung weight.
Yeah,
I wonder if how much more.
And that's the thing that it still baffled me because he's been doing a lot of track days, and I'm no way, shape, or form a excellent driver. I like to, of course, everybody likes to think they are, but he absolutely smoked me. He was doing 10 seconds a lap faster than I was, and I was like, what the hell am I doing wrong? But then again, he did have his own lap timer, and I had the rented one from Extreme Speed, so I don't know. Maybe there was some, a little bit of.
It also is when was the last time you were at Streets of Willow?
2008. Yeah.
Yeah. So probably maybe this guy is there every week or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. But it was still fun that there was another fit there, and I had another person to talk to, and I was just so blown away by the steel wheels with the AO52s. But that's something that made me think about like the charade, because like I had all those issues with. Trying to do the Prius wheels. I was like, well, wait, what if I got some sort of a sticky tire and just threw it on the little stock 13-inch wheels? Because like, it's kind of cool, right?
You think they would have? What do you think they would even offer those in a 13?
They don't. Not here.
Do they offer anything sticky in a 13?
No. You got to go up to the big donk size 14s to get something sticky.
Wow. That's insane. Yeah.
But there are sticky tires in 13 available. They're just not sold in the United States. So then I was like, then it goes into the. How do you bring tires in? Is Customs going to say these tires are not allowed in here because there's no DOT stamp because I bought some weird tires from Europe or Japan or something? So it goes back to the charade, thinking like, man, I can't really do shit with this thing, Yep.
So, you just have to enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, that's true. I took it out last week and drove it to work one day, and I was like, man, for it sitting in its summer slumber, we had a kind of a cool week in Southern California last week. So I took advantage of it, and I took the charade, and I was like, every time I drive that car, I'm like, damn, this thing, it drives so damn good. And it's like, I just don't understand it. This 30-year-old car with 229, I don't even know, 1,000 miles on it.
Yep.
Unknown origins of some of the engine. I don't know. It could be a junkyard engine in that thing. I have no idea, but it drives great. It's more comfortable than the Fit is for sure. Now that I've, very conveniently modified it with lowering springs and wheels and sticky tires and
ruined your Fit.
I've ruined my Fit, but it's okay. But no, it's so amazing how that car drives so well for being a dumpy little car that it is. So anyways, track day, fun, good times. Fit did good. It was slow, but it was, I had fun. That's all that mattered. That's all that matters.
Slow car fast, man. It's all about, it's all about being able to take your car to the limits of what it can do and not endanger yourself too much.
Right.
It's the Miata principle.
Yeah. I guess, if there's if there was another takeaway from the track day, and it's just a word to those that go, make sure you torque down your lug nuts, because there was two vehicles that one of the wheels decided that it no longer wanted to be attached to the car, and it was because they weren't torqued down. The lug nuts weren't torqued down. They're like, I forgot to do that.
Don't forget to do that. Checklist, everybody, come on. Track day checklist.
Torque your lug nuts. So that was kind of scary.
got the people with hood pins. That's another one that always seems
Oh
to happen.
yeah.
Is people use hood pins and forget to lock them before they forget to latch them.
Yeah.
That's happened. I've seen that happen at least 3 times during 24 Hours of Lemons races. It's just
Yeah.
like, just stick with your stock latch if you can, because it'll just shut. It won't be a problem. It's only cars with hood pins that have lost their hoods.
They're supposed to be to prevent that.
Nope. Everybody gets to latch them.
Speaking of 24 Hours of Lemons, is there any new update on the, well, I was going to say the SER, but we'll just say it correctly, the Liam Neeson?
Absolutely zero updates for Liam Neeson. Actually, I will say this. I bought an engine hoist, so now I can move the engine around my garage. One of our team members decided to move to Colorado, and he was the guy with the engine hoist. So I was basically stuck with 2 engines in my garage that I couldn't move. So I finally made the trek to Harbor Freight, bought myself a big ass engine hoist and put it together, and now I can actually move the engines around a little bit. So
awesome.
I think the main problem has been, well, there's a couple things. Our team generally works very slowly. We don't get together that often. And then pandemic happened, and now we don't get together at all. So, it's one of those things where that car's just going to sit for a while until we feel comfortable everybody getting together again. We're not going to do anything with that car. I thought maybe I would try to make a little progress on the engine, but there's no real point because I don't really want to drive that car at the track by myself. So I want to wait till we can all go back together as a team.
Right.
So that's, when you're talking about you're taking your fit to the track day, I'm like, maybe I need to get myself a track car.
You got a couple good choices.
I know.
I was thinking the Stanza wagon would just be.
Can you imagine how horrible that would be on a racetrack? Oh my God. So terrible. Just the flex of the chassis. I will tell you this. So, for people who don't know, Nissan Stanza wagon was a car that has sliding doors in the rear, and there's no B-pillar. So as you might guess, when both the front doors are open and the sliding doors are open, there's just a huge gaping hole. So you could imagine that would lend itself to the best structural rigidity you could possibly think of, right?
Yes.
So just the other day, I started the car and I drove it around the neighborhood a little bit, and then I pulled it into my driveway. And just the little off kilter nature of pulling the car into the driveway, I could just feel the chassis flex.
Oh no!
Just driving up to my driveway, I could feel the chassis flex. And this car has never been in an accident. It only has 50,000 miles on it. It's just the nature of this vehicle. I had heard a story about the Stanza wagon, and I'm not sure if this is true, but I'd like to test it. That if you take it to a shop and put it on a lift, if all of the doors are open, the car, you will actually physically see the chassis flex, and you would not be able to shut the doors.
No,
I've heard that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I would love. Maybe I need to do a video about that. I'm just going to bring it to a shop, open the doors, put it on a lift, and then see if you can shut the doors properly. And my guess is probably no. That's as, you could also imagine that may not lend itself to the best safety. Anyway, not a safe car, but I think it would make a great race car. Actually, there has been a Stanza wagon that has raced 24 Hours of Lemons.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be an easy car to put a cage in.
Sure.
All that the ease of ingress that it has with everything opened up is probably super easy to put a cage in it.
Yep.
Because besides it having the quirky doors, it's the underpinnings of it is just regular ass Nissan Stanza, which
it's actually not. The motor and transmission is Stanza. It's actually based on the Prairie. So there's actually very little in common with the actual Stanza sedan.
Oh, okay.
Or the Stanza hatch. But yeah, so the engine and transmission, I believe, are the same. So it's like that weird 2-liter 4-cylinder with 2 spark plugs per cylinder. So it actually has 8 spark plugs. That's kind of a weird design.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's basically a Nissan Prairie. And very, very strange vehicle. I love how it looks, but I'm frightened to drive it. Like when I drive it, I'm very, very cautious.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I just don't understand. I mean, I know the times were different back then, but it's just like, how did that get greenlit? It was like, yeah, that's good. Just B pillar, B
Well, I
pillar.
mean, you know,
Just let it go.
the, the the crash safety was just not even close to is what it is now. So
Yeah, but even then, and like I mean, this is like we're talking like early '80s, right? Maybe the design of this
yeah,
was going down, and it was just like, all right,
yeah,
guys, we're gonna do this pillarless thing. Yeah, that's good. That sounds like it. I don't know. I guess it was just the way things were back then. I know it's crash safety's come significantly further in the 40 years since that car was probably sat down and designed. So
yeah, yep.
I think it should be a race car.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess with all the other vehicles, what else? I mean, the 944 Turbo, that would make an amazing race car.
It would.
Just
But
probably a little bit too fast for me. Just in terms of like, okay, well, there's when I take the Liam Neeson on the racetrack, that can get going pretty quick, but not so fast where I'm like, okay, I'm going to perish at this very moment.
right.
The 944 Turbo, I've taken it on some canyon drives, and it just sneaks up on you.
Yeah. The advantage of the 944 Turbo becoming like a track car is, I mean, there's just a plethora of aftermarket that would just, whatever you need done to the car, no problem. Somebody's done it before. It's not like some untraveled road, like building a Nissan Stanza wagon into a Lemons car or a Daihatsu Charade into like a rally car or something like that. It's just like, no,
sure,
everything's there. What do you need to know? What do you need? We have everything. It's just it's all there. So yeah, but that's not. I mean, as fun as it would be, you got to think. You got to make something weird and quirky into a race car. Like that's.
Yeah, well, I think the thing for me would be cheap to maintain, and I wouldn't feel too bad if it got ruined. And that was kind of the reason why we chose the 200 SX SER for Liam Neeson, is that lots of parts you can still get for that thing, and super cheap to maintain. What brake rotors are $12 for that car? It's ridiculous. So I think I actually got them for 10 last time, which was nuts. So it would have to be something like that, something where there's just there's still quite a few parts out there, and it's not too new where it's going to cost a ton of money. It's not too old where you can't find parts. It's like that when I was racing. I don't know if it's the same way, but obviously Miatas were popular. 944s, the naturally aspirated ones, were hugely popular. E30s, E46s, that kind of thing. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know what I would grab to try to turn into a track day car. I have to think about it. It certainly wouldn't be a Pro, because that transverse mounted V6 is such a pain in the ass. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe something I haven't owned before. Maybe a Honda. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean they do make that. I mean that at the track day I was at, there was a plethora. I used the word plethora again.
Sure, it's a good word.
There was a murder of Miatas. There we go. How about that? There's always, you'll always see those at a track day. I believe there's a couple 944s. And a couple. Was there an E30? Yeah, there was a couple E30s. A lot of, in the cars that you see on the racetrack, there's the people that go and they enjoy it and pushing their car to limit. And they're mostly like the older cars, like your Miata, because if it breaks, it's easy to fix. There's an easy replacement. But then there was the people that take some of their other cars. There was a guy there that with a I think was it a brand new one, or maybe a year or two old, a Lexus GSF. And this is a sweet car, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, something breaks on that car, it's the consumables. You think about, like, the tires, are 18 or 19 inches, and it gets very expensive very, very fast.
I was always surprised that the people that would drive their brand new, M3s, M4s, 5 series. When I used to do track days, lots of people in brand new 5 Series. I always thought that was interesting. It's like, oh,
Yeah, there was a guy. There was a guy there that had a Porsche Macan,
okay,
the little SUV,
yeah,
and he was out there ripping that thing around. He or she, I didn't see who was driving it, but
sure,
uh, yeah, it was just kind of interesting to see that though, and it's just like it's cool, and I'm not knocking it because I
yeah,
anybody that wants to go out and drive their car on the racetrack, that's awesome. Even if it's like a brand new car, if you just want to test the limits of it, totally cool. Go do it because it's a ton of fun. But if you want to really get into it, and it's going to be really hard to make a Porsche Macan into a track day beater. You want something that it's going to, if it breaks, it's somewhat cheap and easy to fix versus like the sensor for the transmission on the Porsche Macan went out and it's back ordered in Germany and we're not going to, you don't want to deal with that kind of stuff at all.
yep.
But your fleet, I'm thinking that Pontiac Grand Prix Turbo McLaren.
Yeah, of course.
I think that would be interesting.
That would be terrible on the racetrack.
It's got McLaren in the name, though.
I know it does.
It's got racing heritage built into the badge. What would be another fun one? Honestly, the twin cam would probably be an absolute hoot out there. But that's something that's like, if something was to happen to it, it's like,
I'd be really upset. Maybe it's the Prism because the Prism already looks like a piece of shit. So, and it's got the 4 AGE under the hood. It needs a few things, but that actually could be a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but we'll.
It's got to happen before September. You got to come out to Buttonwillow.
Sure. Okay. I'll think of something. I'll think of something by then.
Or will we buy something?
Yeah. Well, actually, speaking of, I haven't bought anything yet, but I've been looking because I have been talking about selling the Geo, and that sort of frees up a slot, So I've been looking at auction stuff again, and actually something kind of came up that looks pretty interesting that I'm sort of considering. I've never owned a Honda product before, and a 1999 Acura Integra. It's an LS, so it's not like it's not like a GSR or anything like that.
Okay.
But it's only got 90,000 miles on it.
Okay.
So that seemed kind of interesting. What is that? What did that have back then? 140 horsepower? Something like that?
Well, it depends. It's an LS. It probably had, and I'm gonna probably
it's
be
a 99.
Wrong.
So
99. It's an LS. If it's probably a non-VTEC model, I think it had. It might be even lower than that. I think it might be 120. If it had VTEC, I think probably like 140. So it just depends. But if it had. I'm pretty sure it'd be about in the 120 range. So, but still, I mean, that's a amazing chassis. It's a double wishbone, all 4 corners. You don't need to worry about putting discs on the back because it's already got them back there. Those are pretty cool cars. I'd love to own one, but they're just theft bait. That's
sure. Well, are they still though? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, there's a week that doesn't go by that I don't see, somebody reaching out on Instagram or something like that, like stolen Acura Integra, stolen Acura Integra, and it's like,
I mean, they were for a long time one of the most stolen cars.
Yeah, a good friend of mine had his stolen, and it was a really sad day because he spent a lot of money modifying that car, and it was absolutely awesome when it was to the point he got it to before it was taken from him at the Best Buy parking lot. So many years ago.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned those cars getting stolen. I was just looking up videos about these vehicles, and Jason from Engineering Explained, he used to own maybe an Integra GS, and his got stolen.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't matter where you are in the country, they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Unless you have, you do have a garage.
Sure.
And you have space for it, but it's just like, is it worth keeping it in the garage? And, or is this going to be an experiment to see how long it takes to get stolen? And
I should leave it just out in the front of my house. I mean, honestly, I was thinking that this I've never owned a Honda before. I thought it might be kind of fun to dive in. And I remember test driving one of these way back in the 90s, and I remember really being at the dealer and being pretty close to being able to purchase this thing, and I kind of realized right towards the end of the whole process that I didn't really want to spend that much money. So it was one of those cars that I had wanted ages ago, and it'd be kind of fun to actually get to experience it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, besides thinking about it getting stolen and stuff like that, I mean, if the price is right, I mean, it's at the auction site, then yeah, get it.
Yeah. And it's keep it around for a while, and then maybe I'll just see if somebody else, some real diehard Acura Honda fan wants it. Because like there's not many of these under 100,000 miles. There's not many of these that aren't completely. I've looked on Craigslist, and a lot of Integras are just
they're trashed.
They're trashed, modded to shit. They're just really, really have seen a lot of hard miles. So to find one with only 90,000 miles on it is
which color is this one?
This one is white.
It is white. Okay, so it's the taffeta white, as that is.
Yes.
Yes, of course, Paul would know what color the white is. Yes, that is the taffeta white. It is that is a good white. I like.
Sure,
white.
and it's it's the late 90s, so it's not like teal or anything fun like magenta or anything like that. Just a kind of a boring white Acura, but it's kind of worth. I think it might be worth trying, and seeing if I can get it for a decent price. I don't know how much it would be worth, because I see like Integras from the 90s going for like 1,500 all the way up to like 7,000 depending on the condition. Yeah. And most of them are garbage. So I'm curious if like, I don't know, $2,500 might be too high for a low mile Integra. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Sure. If I can get it for about that, it seems like that might be okay.
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely worth investigating because and then you get a chance to own a Honda product and drive it around and enjoy it and everything. And hell, they do make great track cars.
There you go.
So
there you go.
Yeah.
I'm constantly looking at these auction sites, constantly looking at Craigslist. There's a lot of interesting stuff up there right now. There's a Isuzu Impulse that's been on the Los Angeles Craigslist for, I don't know, probably a couple months now. The guys or women, whoever that owns it is asking a lot of money for it. They just lowered the price. They were asking like $4,000. Now it's down to $3,700.
Oh, well, that's not much. I mean,
it's not much, but it's an automatic. And I think, I don't know.
Does it have super low miles?
Let's see. I'm actually looking at it right now. Oh my God, it does. 36,000 miles.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, it's an 84 Impulse. It's not a turbo. It's just naturally aspirated.
Okay.
Automatic. It's cool. The interior looks nice. It's really, really great shape. It just doesn't seem fun. It's like super rare for sure. It just doesn't seem that much fun.
But it's not. I don't think it's worth $3,700.
I mean, for the
right person, and the mileage is there. Unless you're like, what's our friend's name, Tyson, out in Arizona, and you have like a collection of Isuzus, and this is all you need to complete the collection. Yes, exactly. Then that's the right person for that kind of car. But and that's something that I've been kind of noticing, and I don't know. I'm sure you and all the listeners have been noticing too, the Redwood effect that we're seeing. We're seeing a lot more people realize what they have with, grandma or grandpa's old Isuzu. And they're like, oh yeah, it's $3,700. The car's, the Kelley Blue Book, if that's even a thing, is like, $500. But like, nope, $3,700 for it because it's got 36,000 original miles on it. And people are paying it. I mean, we've seen some of these Integra Type Rs, which is a completely different kind of class of car, go for $70,000, $80,000. Or that the Civic the other day that sold on Bring a Trailer for
$50,000.
$50,000. Like
it's just a Civic Si.
It was a Civic Si, which is it's a great car, and it had low miles on it. I think lowish. I think it had 26,000 miles on it.
Sure,
but people are coming around to this.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I think there's a lot of people that are upset that the prices of these cars are finally going up. But it was bound to happen. these are the cars that I love, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize that you know there weren't a lot of them that were saved. So like that Isuzu Impulse, most of those have probably been crushed by now.
Right.
Um, so yeah, if you really are interested in that car, you're probably going to pay more for it because there's just none left. So
And that's the thing, and I think it's just me being a little bit bitter and upset because I really, really, really want a Plymouth Neon ACR, and I can't
well,
find any. And if
yeah.
I do, it's going to be expensive.
Well, I think the thing is like, yeah, there's a lot of cars that the values are starting to go up. But still, there's still plenty of people that are just treating these like appliances, like most people treated 80s and 90s cars, just like
Sure.
appliances. So if you keep your eye out and just really search for it, I got to imagine that something's got to pop up. Some grandma owns something, or there's a car out there that you know people just don't really know that it's worth something to somebody.
Yeah.
It's like I remember driving to when Radwood first started. I remember driving up to the Radwood NorCal show a couple years ago. And there was this sort of like new excitement of like, oh, people actually give a crap about 80s and 90s cars. So on my drive up there from Southern California to Northern California, I would spot cars that were like, oh, look at that old 84 Camry. I bet that's going to Radwood. And I look in the mirror in the car. It's just a family, driving their 84 Camry, and they're like, oh, look at that old Suzuki. That's pretty cool. I bet they're going to Radwood. And it's like, no, just some old dude driving his Suzuki, It's,
Mhm.
these cars, there's sort of like, it's in this sort of middle ground of like, yeah, there's enthusiasts and collectors starting to pick these cars up, but there's still plenty of people that are just using them as their actual transportation. So,
Yeah.
um,
And I mean, some of the cars, you can't just let them sit. Some of them are more temperamental and stuff like that. You got to take them out every single day, or at least every other day, or something like that, just to keep it from.
it's true. Yeah, the Geo had sat for, I don't know, but part of it is the pandemic, so I haven't been driving many of my cars very much.
Mhm.
But that car probably sat for 4 months. And it's like, yeah, the gas went bad. So I had to, throw some new gas in there, and it's just sitting is not good for cars. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so when I first started up, it's like, oh, this is running like crap. Threw some new gas in it. It was fine. But yeah,
See, that's the thing with the charade. Like, it can sit for a very long time, and it'll start up, and it runs fine. It's
Mhm.
it's a little tank. It's a little tank
Yeah.
of a car. I don't know why I'm thinking about parting ways with it, and maybe it's just because I've already said the name of it, but I've got this weird obsession with this neon idea in my head.
Yeah.
But
Neon ACR would be great. I just don't know how you find that because a lot of people might.
and a Plymouth version at that. I don't want no low life Dodge. I want the Plymouth version.
Okay, yeah, you got a challenge ahead of you.
I do. I do. But hey, it gives me time. It's not like I can just go pick and choose between 3 or 4 of them on the LA Craigslist. It's like I got to find one.
Yeah. Well, I'll keep an eye out because I'm constantly scouting and actually, so I just was looking at the auction site, and something just popped up, something that I just made a video about. And actually, I saw this a few weeks ago, and I thought it sold, but it's back up on the auction site.
Uh-oh.
So this is a 1996 Suzuki X90.
Oh, you made
It
a
is,
video about that, and you talked about how you'd like to get one.
yes. So this one, it's kind of a royal blue color. It's an automatic, but I don't really care too much for when you're talking about this kind of car. It doesn't need to be a manual. But right now the bidding is up to $1,000.
Okay.
So I don't know. Under 2,500, I could see that being kind of a
Yeah, that's
funnel.
that's a cool car.
There's one other one that popped up that I thought was kind of interesting. Where is it? Let's see. That's just a Miata. Where is it? So there's a Nissan. What is this? This is a BE.
Oh, a BE1. It's
Yes.
one of the Pike cars.
One of the Pike cars. So yeah. Sorry, BE1. So I'm not sure why this ended up on the auction site. I'm curious if maybe it's very strange why it's there.
Yeah.
but it's a kind of like a not flat, but it's got a like a very weird yellow color.
Yes.
I
That's
don't
the
know how
only
to
color that
describe
came.
this color. Is it the only color they came
It's
in?
the only color that came in. It's like a mustardy yellow.
Yeah, it's pretty mustardy.
Yeah, mustardy slash baby poop kind
Yeah,
of.
pretty much like baby poop yellow.
Yeah.
But this is another of those cars where you can see it's like really good shape and it runs and drives, and certainly wouldn't be able to get it registered in California, but I don't know.
No, you could. I think those were. Is it in 1989? I think that was the only year those things were available. Or
This is
87.
87.
87.
Yeah.
Okay, 87 to 89 was the Pike cars, I
Yeah.
think. And so that was the POW, the BE1, the S Cargo, and the Figaro.
Yeah.
And the BE1 was supposed to be like kind of the more stripped down of all of them. Like the Figaro was like the classy looking car. The S Cargo looked like a snail and was a delivery vehicle. The POW was like, I guess, supposed to be like for the adventurous people. There was this whole thing about the Nissan Pike cars. They're all really cool. But that's so weird that it's on the auction site.
Yeah.
So
the only thing I can think of is that I have seen a few JDM cars on some of these auction sites, and I'm not sure if maybe, I don't really know why. But I've seen a few JDM Toyota vans.
Oh, okay.
So not sure. But yeah, the only other thing that I saw that was kind of cool is just the champagne colored 1990 Honda Accord. And it's pretty like super common car that you used to see back in the day, but it's another one of those cars where it's a low mile vehicle and it looks pretty cool.
1990 Accord, is that still pop-up headlights or
no? That is not the pop-up. That's after the pop-up.
That's the okay.
So it's not my favorite body style. I do like the pop-up generation a little bit better, but it's one of those cars where you look at it, you're like, yep, totally 90s. Look at the inside. It's kind of got like this almost like velour interior.
Yeah.
Like it's like a maroonish, pinkish red. Yeah, very, very 90s. Very, very 90s. So
it sounds like a dangerous website is what it sounds like.
It does.
It's very dangerous. All these, just bid on this. It's like kind of like Bring a Trailer, but for like really
for cars that you don't know what the history is. Like same with the Probe. Like when I bought the Probe, I had no idea that it was overheated. I knew that it was $300 and I figured there was something wrong with it, but I didn't know what was wrong with it. There's another one that I totally want. There's a 94 Lexus GS 300, just your standard,
and a 94. So the first generation we got.
Yes.
Oh, that's a cool car.
I don't see those very often.
You don't.
No.
They didn't. It's mostly because there wasn't a whole lot of them that got brought over here. Lexus, they made such a fuss over the LS that when the GS came over, they just didn't sell well. It was they were pushing the LS, and then the SC came out too at the same time. And the GS was supposed to be situated below. I mean, it is situated below the LS, but people were just all about the LS. So the GS kind of went by the wayside until the second generation came to the United States. It may not have really been the second generation because Japan, it's all those other things. But no, that I love that body style so much on those cars. The first generation GS, they're so cool. They're so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat, and you don't see them very often. And
the Hecken blend on the back, I think that's one of my favorite parts about the car.
Yep.
The way that kind of goes and wraps around, and it just looks good.
Yeah, because the next generation had the weird kind of like circle.
Yeah, the little
separate. And those I don't know if you've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen a second gen Lexus GS that had those that weren't faded. Those are always faded. Those little taillights.
Yeah, they are. If I ever owned a Lexus, it would be either a first or second generation GS. They're just I love them. They're so cool. They're so cool.
Yeah, well, I got a lot of stuff that I'm kind of like taking a look at.
I think we both have a lot of stuff we're going through right now.
All of our listeners probably do too.
Yeah. So it's fun. It's part of the quarantine, and it's part of the just, your mind wanders and you go like, yeah, what about this? What about that?
Sure.
Do I get rid of this car to get this car? And it's all part of the fun because
Yep.
at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. So,
Yep.
well, I think that's a wrap on this one. Where can everybody find you on the socials?
On the social medias, Instagram and
Medias.
Twitter, yes, Mr. Ethan Tufts. You can also find me at youtube.com/Hello Road. Got some new videos coming up. Just reviewed a Kia Seltos, a crossover. Many crossovers coming out now. That seems like all that new car companies are working on right now are crossovers. But I'm actually really excited. Next car I'm getting is a 2020 Camaro FS. So pretty excited.
With the weird face.
No, they fixed the weird face.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it was either 2018 or the 2019 where they had the Chevy logo in the quote wrong place. It looked really weird.
Yeah.
That was short lived. Yep. So this one looks better.
Okay.
It still looks like a variation of the. I don't know, when did they come out with this 2010 or something?
2010, yeah.
Whatever the heck that Transformers movie was.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sort of still looks like kind of a variation on that theme. But I'm totally looking forward to it. I've actually,
Cool.
I've sat in some of those Camaros. I've actually never driven a new SS.
Cool.
And I'm not sure if it's got the manual or if it's going to come with the 10-speed auto. We'll see.
Yeah, I think both transmissions are cool on the car. I think that's one of those automatics that like kind of gets the pass from enthusiasts because it's kind of it's a good automatic that's in the car. It does the car justice. So it's not like some 3-speed automatic or something like that. So cool.
So, so I'm excited about that. So where can everybody find you?
We can find me at Paul's Finest Hour on both Instagram and Twitter. And hopefully tomorrow there'll be some nice lighting and I'll get a picture of my awesome seat covers in the Daihatsu so everybody can bathe in the glory of that.
The Walmart seat covers.
The Walmart seat covers. Yeah, totally.
Sweet.
Cool. Well, very good. So I guess we'll see y'all next time. Thank you, everybody. And
All right. Adios.
Take care.